Billboard Breakdown Hot 100 October 14th, 2023. 3D Better Place Runners and Leland Jack and call me. Let's just get into it.
Hey there, folks. I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's the calm before the storm. And this is Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. I've said before that weeks like this, where you know that the album bomb coming, it's inevitable and it's going to cause so much collateral damage, they're kind of difficult to get really excited about. That being said, these weeks also tend to capture in microcosm the occasional interesting flourish or chart moment, and I'm hoping we're at least going to get something. I don't know, maybe something good that'll stick around past Drake or Bad Bunny and 1989 Taylor's version in rapid succession. Maybe? You never know? Well, before we get to all of that, our top 10, where Paint the Town Red by Doja Cat holds onto the number one for probably one more week. It might hold on past that thanks to strong sales and still increasing radio, but losing the top spot on streaming is revealing, and I'm sorry, I don't think she'll be able to hold back Drake. Then we got Snooze by SZA at number 2. Streaming got a bit of an uptick, but it's really making the most of radio. It's heading towards that top spot. Something I cannot say for Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift, despite it being up to number 3. An okay week on streaming is not going to compensate for peaking on the
I feel like Snooze is probably going to be it's just going to stay at number 2. It's going to be one of those number 2s that just stay there forever.
Radio.
I don't think it's going to hit number 1.
Ahead of Fast Car by Luke Combs, which is now down to number 4, because, let's be real, it's also on the radio downswing while getting overtaken on streaming. And never went to number 1. I guess that happens. Now this opens up a new top 10 debut, 3D by Jungkook and Jack Harlow at number 5. We'll get into the
Mid. Jack Harlow verse trash.
Song more later
Rest
on,
of it's mid.
But it's here thanks to sales dominance and a pretty good streaming debut, even if the radio's not touching it. We'll see if that changes. I personally think it will, but the odds are stacked against it in the weeks to come. Then we got I Remember Everything by Zach Bryan and Casey Musgraves at number 6, predominantly here thanks to streaming dominance, because the radio still isn't moving on it. I mean, it'll be fascinating to see how much inertia
I don't care about the song. I don't care about Zach Bryan.
That's all I'll say there for now. But it did hold up over Last Night by Morgan Wallen at number 7. Even if you can absolutely tell that it's on the radio downswing despite rock-solid streaming. And that was enough to prop it over Fuck You Mean by Gunna, which is currently at number 8. And that spent the week losing on the radio.
Slowly leaving?
Ultimately
not slowly.
Position.
I feel like
it'll
leave.
Streaming week to hold
definitely after the Drake album bomb.
Now compare this to Vampire by Olivia Rodrigo at number 9, which is...
It's crazy. I'm actually surprised, because I thought that this would have a lot more impact than it actually did. I know it did debut at number 1. I'm pretty sure it did, but I think it only had 2 weeks at number 1. It was actually pretty surprising, because if you look at the statistics, her last album did way better, and it was better, and you could see the other singles, they're not performing that well. I think Get 'Em Back's at 34. At least the last album, 3 of those tracks, they stayed on for a pretty long while, but you could definitely see those album cuts are just going down very quickly. And Get 'Em Back, it's going down very quickly for a single too, for a Olivia Rodrigo single. It's going down pretty quickly. Driver's License stayed on for a while. Deja Vu, I'm pretty sure that stayed on for a bit. And Good For You, that was just probably the biggest song from that album, probably, that most people know. But when you look at it now, Bad Idea, right, not really doing that good, let's be honest. And Get 'Em Back is not doing good at all. I think it had 11, and I think now this week it's at 34, which that's not bad, but looking at the past, it's definitely worse. Very surprising.
is also losing radio at this point, but does not have the streaming to prop it up, which tells me this is probably going to be forced out, or at least forced down a lot faster. But finally, Calm Down by Rima and Selena Gomez is still here at number 10. The radio finally started dumping this. I like the song, quickly. Get It Out. It's only a matter of time before it gets forced out as well. Now this takes us neatly to our losers and our dropouts. Not a lot in the latter category beyond album bomb cuts, but Love You Anyway by Luke Combs, it handily clinched its year-end list spot for 2023 after an extremely respectable run. And it's a great song, I'm not complaining. Now the losers are also as expected, and let's get through the album bomb leftovers first. From Olivia Rodrigo, Get 'Em Back at 45, All American Bitch at 73, and The Grudge.
Wait, I thought it was at 34. He said 45? Damn, bro.
86. From Zach Bryan, Sarah's Place with Noah Kahn at 53, Boys of Faith with Bon Iver at 82,
anybody care?
And Spotless with Lumineers at 91. Care? And from Rod Wave, Come See Me at 60, H64 at 87, and Long Journey at 96.
Anybody care?
Outside of those, nobody cares. Agora Hills by Doja Cat tumbled off the debut to 34. So did 500 Pounds by Lil Tecca to 70.
Alright, look. Agora Hills is a great song. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I don't personally listen to it, but I would be fine listening to it on the radio. 500 Pounds is also pretty good. Heaven on Earth, not bad either. Look, the Tug of Hate, it's overdone. Okay, look, 500 Pounds is actually a pretty good song. Okay, pretty catchy, pretty good beat. I think it definitely deserves better, and Agora Hills does deserve better too. That's just my personal opinion.
Not exactly surprising for either of them here. I don't expect them to have the staying power against Drake. But now for our returns and gains. And again, it's tough to put much stock in any of these, but for the former category, at least for now, there's a decent chunk of them. From Music Row, we got Pretty Little Poison by Warren Zeters at 84, and But I Got a Beer in My Hand by Luke Bryan at 97. From the regional Mexican scene, we got Que Onda by Cali 24, Chino Pacas and Fuerza Regida at 94, and Rubicon by Peso Pluma at 98. And outside of those, Oklahoma.
I'm surprised some of those Genesis tracks are still on here.
Again at 93. Fiend by Travis Scott and Playboi Carti hit 95. And Where She Goes by Bad Bunny got a bit of an album hype bump up to 100. And that translates neatly into our gains as Review jumped off the debut to 43. And that's not the only surprise here. Also off the debut, My Love, Mine All Mine by Mitski surged up to 49. Although she was accompanied by
pretty crazy.
Kian by Maluma and Karen Leone at 69.
Wait, I actually saw on streaming, it's been doing crazy numbers, actually. Of course, Drake is everywhere. Bro, Drake literally hit, I'm looking at Spotify charts right now. Drake literally hit, he's all of his songs are on the charts. He's 1, 2, 3, and 4. He's 7, 8, 9, and 10. And Mitski, My Love, Mine All Mine is still 13. She is outperforming, these big Drake songs on the album, and I think that's actually pretty crazy. 13. I'm looking at the top 50 charts. She's performing 10 songs. She's performing better than 10 songs off of that Drake album, which is actually pretty impressive. I feel like it might actually be a hit. It's looking like a hit. I don't know. It's been pretty good on streaming for a few days, like a week at least. It's been pretty surprising. I don't know. Maybe it might be a little surprise, little type hit thing. It's really not made for the charts either. It's a little indie type stuff, little song. It's not really made for the charts, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that song does.
Have Mine by Dylan Scott at 81. And while I'm complaining about Nashville, Standing Room Only by Tim McGraw saw a bump off the return to 75. No! Truck Bed by Hardy rose to 63. And Save Me by Jelly Roll and Lainey Wilson hit 37. At least White Horse by Chris Stapleton also saw a big surge up to 38. Outside of those, On My Mama by Victoria Monet got a boost up to 76 off its return.
Catchy.
And Lil Boo Thing by Paul Russell continues to rise to 51. And the rest of these are just all over the place.
Is that?
Oh You Went by Young Thug and Drake at 74.
That song
Deli
isn't bad.
By Ice Spice at 71. And most bizarrely,
that song has been on there for
Greedy by Tate McRae is up to 14.
Bro, this song. Wait, no, this song is actually going. No, genuinely, this song is going crazy on streaming. It's number 3 on the global charts. That's 5 million streams, bro. 5. Do you realize how big that is? This song is like a 2-minute song, like 2-minute Tate McRae song, randomly getting like huge on streaming. Very weird. I can see why this guy's surprised too.
Streaming has really gotten behind this
Yes!
one, which has me kicking myself, wishing that if we're going to have a mid-2000s revival, we could get performers that could actually sell those types of songs. Well, anyway, we get a reasonably sized list of new arrivals for once, so alright, let's get it started with number 92, The Secret Recipe by Lil Yachty.
I haven't listened to this.
J. Cole.
I just heard that Lil Yachty got carried.
I can't escape the feeling that both J. Cole and Lil Yachty have had rather strange years when it comes to their recorded output, and that's only going to fall under a greater microscope given their contributions to Drake's upcoming album bomb. But with this cut from a companion EP of songs that Lil Yachty assembled, that apparently this track was mostly freestyled, and wow, with Yachty you can really tell, as against that smooth, funky, horn-accented man-child sample, he routinely stumbles off the beat to a frankly distracting degree. J. Cole at least found a pocket comfortably on this song. How is Yachty this clunky again? And when Yachty is as on the defensive as he is on this track about his influence in the game and how disrespected he is, I mean, it's not a great look to sound this messy. Now, thankfully, J. Cole manages to come through with a
obviously, Lil Yachty's not gonna look good next to J. Cole. We just have to be honest with ourselves.
Their gang connections, or those who are trying to get his name for that little streaming boost and little else. In particular, at Youngboy Never Broke Again, who apparently stood him up for 8 hours in a studio session. But J. Cole's bitterness at journalists and actors.
That's why I don't like Youngboy, bro. How you gonna
seems to dislike profiting too much when in the same verse he's bragging about stacking cash? I don't know. There are some complicated, nuanced issues within the BLM organization, but why do I think J. Cole's more interested in making the you critique society and yet you participate in society hypocrisy argument because he's still being pissy at No Name than say anything deeper? Hell, he could have some bigger things to criticize No Name over and he doesn't even go there. Overall, if I'm just keeping at the standard of freestyling, I'd say about half of this works. Any higher expectations has me think it's just not that good. Next, number 90, God Gave Me a Girl by Russell Dickerson. I've been sick of Russell Dickerson for years now, and when I see a song title like that for a track that first dropped nearly a year ago, I'm almost certain I'm getting just about the dullest possible boyfriend country that's market tested for Christian-leaning Hallmark Channel movies. And yeah, that's exactly what this is.
She likes it in a Portuguese because she knows that we're about to have ourselves a little
warmth, not helped by all the compression that's slathered all over Dickerson's vocal lead, and content about how Dickerson is a wild guy, but God gave him a girl that he chose to marry, with little to no actual detail about who this woman actually is, or whether or not she has more personality than just an achievement trophy. Now, the one thing I can kind of be generous and appreciate on the first verse is that Russell Dickerson acknowledges that going out to bars kind of left feeling empty. That's kind of real, I guess. But in a year where there's been so much better country, there's no more excuses for gunk like this to stick around. Let's move on. Number 89, Stars Like Confetti by Dustin Lynch.
She's gonna say the same thing. Yeah, she got titties. Damn.
Okay, trust
like a
somebody
white
knows
women
there
convention.
are much worse Dustin Lynch songs coming. If you don't know, savor that ignorance. Anyway, this almost feels like an even older throwback to the slicker side of bro country you got in like 2014. The vocal cadence, the utterly flimsy mix where that tinny cymbal frequency is distractingly left across nearly the entire mix.
Find a black person in this video challenge.
Hooking up in the back of a pickup truck on a starlit night. I mean, Dustin Lynch was active a decade ago. He was making marginally better music in that era. Why does he even
I don't see. Wait. Oh, no.
Now, granted, this is also from around 18 months ago and is only charting now, but still, the most this has going for it is that Dustin Lynch is trying to bring some upbeat
that's
energy.
a white guy.
The crowd vocals around the hook
White
are an
people,
okay touch. Otherwise, this was played out
go back.
disposable. Around the hook
shoot.
are an
Oops.
okay touch.
My bad.
Otherwise, to bring some up charting now, but still, the most this has going for it is that Dustin Lynch is trying to bring some upbeat energy. The crowd vocals around the hook are an okay time.
Find the black person challenge. Like, where's Waldo? Except Waldo's not even here. Damn. White sea.
Touch. Otherwise,
it's all
this
good though.
Was played out and disposable at least 7 years ago. Next, number 83,
Obviously.
Shaq and Kobe by Rick Ross and Meek Mill.
Too much money and power. Hustling 24 hours.
Anyone else feel like the buzz around this reunion just kind of came and went? Or that it was there for a bit and then just evaporated?
It wasn't there. I literally, bro, I live on music Twitter. I didn't see anything about it.
But you would think there'd be a little more attention behind this. And then I heard the song and I got it, because this feels very rote and routine to me. Meek Mill and Rick Ross bragging about how much money they made with a bunch of vague threats predominantly against you as the haters. And while the flows are mostly on point, the hook is underpowered, and the flex of too much money and power behind all those faded filters, it does not impress me, especially with that wiry but oily beat feeling as dour as it is. Honestly, it just feels like an artifact.
I don't care for any of
that I
these
was
artists.
Not nostalgic for in the first place, so I mean, I guess it's fine.
I like them better when
I
they get
also
carried by
understand why
Drake.
folks moved on from this in record time. I probably will too. Number 80, Stick Season by Noah Khan.
This one doesn't have Post Malone on it, so it kind of sucks. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's actually does sound good. I haven't heard this though.
You know, I said back in my mostly negative review of Noah Khan's Stick Season that even if I didn't like the album, I can recognize savvy craftsmanship, and with the right promotion, he was gonna be huge. I think the big surprise for me in 2023 is not only how right I was, but also how Noah Khan is gonna be smart enough to at least pick the good songs from that album to push or remix. That Casey Musgraves remix of She Calls Me Back cannot be pushed fast enough. Now, this was not on my list of the favorites from that album, but given its success worldwide and the fact that I can recognize a really strong hook when I hear it, I'm not at all surprised that it's finally crossed over in the US. Even if when you break this down, it's a very cleanly produced acoustic song with the subtle harmonies on the end, it's got more the feel of a campfire song than anything else. Now, granted, when you actually pay attention to the lyrics, it is the sort of cloying post-breakup whinging that can test my patience. This is no Dial Drunk, either original or
Obviously.
remix. But there's also weird turns to this.
Not even
like
close to the remix. Come on, man.
Wallowing that can't
Post
quite
Malone
cover
isn't on
how
this.
upset
It's already
he
a zero.
is with all the upbeat, willowy tones, or the clunky line about how there's COVID on the planes, which is a line that kind of feels dated until you realize that COVID is still fucking everywhere.
Oh, yeah, I
and
forgot
hasn't
about that,
gone
yeah.
far away. It's not just on the planes. So in the context of a single pop folk song and not the album, it is more likable in a Mumford & Sons kind of vein. But Noah Khan absolutely has better songs. Let's hope he pushes those. Keep that in
Boring.
mind. Number 67, Water by Tyla.
Oh.
Make me lose my breath, make me water, make me sweat, make me harder, make me lose my breath, make me water.
Okay, so this is a track I've been intrigued about for a little bit. Tyla is a South African pop R&B and Afrobeats artist who has seen this single pop off on TikTok and catch a lot of fire worldwide, with it finally crossing over to the States, and honestly, I get it. The fluttering melodies around the gentle shuffling Afrobeats groove, paired with some very generous vocal overdubs behind Tyla's expressive and really quite pretty singing, all about wanting some guy to completely blow her mind in bed. I mean, it's a simple formula that almost feels like a 2000s throwback, but it's effective and reasonably well produced. I do think some of the bass mixing is a little bit clunky, can feel weirdly muddy in patches, but otherwise, I'm nitpicking, and for this sort of pop R&B, it does a lot right. Very good song. Nice to see it cross over. Hope it sticks around. Number 55,
I like the
Mama's
video.
House by Thomas Rhett featuring Morgan Wallen.
Maybe this crazy world will straighten up and slow on down. If every town had a mama's house.
Okay, look, I'm not surprised that Thomas Rhett went to get Morgan Wallen when his own neo-traditional pivot is mostly stalled out, especially as Morgan Wallen co-wrote this. But as someone who's had to deal with entirely too much Morgan Wallen throughout 2023, I wasn't exactly seeking out more, especially if it's just for the label cosign for a greatest hits album. And okay, songs like this are honestly hard for me to get that annoyed with. A pretty simple country tune with a decent amount of pedal steel to accent some warmer guitars about their mom's houses growing up. Although I will say that line about wishing the world would be better and more proper if everyone had that mama's house, it feels kind of ham-fisted. But the chemistry is actually a little better than you might expect, especially around the bridge. And while it feels a little compressed and synthetic around the vocal
Too much
leads,
country
it's
music
not
this year, I'm not gonna lie to you.
distracting.
I liked it
I'm in
when
the
there was
lower
like
tier of songs like this, if only because I can
7
remember
country
being
songs
back
on the
in
year-end
Mamas
list.
by
I know
Tim
there's gonna be
Roth,
at
or
least
really
like
just a
15
huge chunk of Southern Family
on
that
this
does
year.
this
Like,
formula
Jesus, bro.
markedly better, but this is not bad
Why is
either.
there so
If
much
you like
country
it,
music? Oh my
I don't
god.
blame you.
I mean, I know why, but
Number
like,
25, Better
why?
Place by In Sync?
I'm gonna make it
In Sync?
tonight. Yeah, if you let me show the way. Hey, I'm so excited to see you excited.
Okay, let's make this abundantly clear. The only reason this is charting at all is because Justin Timberlake is leveraging his soundtrack connections with the Trolls franchise of all things in order to spark a reunion, because every other attempt he's made at a comeback this year has gone nowhere, and it's not like the rest of NSYNC is gonna say no. Hell, on most streaming platforms, this song is credited to NSYNC second after Justin Timberlake, but okay, fine. Is the song at least good? Well, honestly, as the guy who always liked the Backstreet Boys more in the boy band wars back in the late 90s, I can recognize when something isn't particularly special, even by NSYNC standards. The ramping of the tempo, it's a cute little idea, but the rest of the track feels so antiseptic and lacking in any impact. From that dinky whistle to the light funk bass groove borrowed from an off-brand Dua Lipa reject. Honestly, given all the handoff of the vocals and the lack of more vocal harmonies and the utterly generic lyrics, it kind of reminds me a lot of one of BTS's English crossover songs that are
Wait, this guy's actually
agreeable,
right
they
there.
are
Wait.
fun.
I'm listening to the song, in the background, and it sounds like BT. It literally just sounds like BTS. Like the way the voice sounds, the way like the beat goes, like it's literally just a BTS
But they're
song.
not special, and it's certainly lacking the magnetism of their best work, with only the more
This is literally a
developed
BTS
percussion and
song, what?
harmonies backing up the bridge and the final hook getting even close. I don't know, after waiting so long for an NSYNC comeback, and I wasn't even waiting, this is very much lacking. Let's do them all a favor. Forget this exists. And finally, number 5, 3D by Jungkook and Jack Harlow.
In motion, in 3D. You always grab me.
I'm good.
Champagne confetti.
7 way better than this, by the way.
In 3D.
So what some of you might not know is that as of recently, Scooter Braun reportedly got dumped by a lot of his major American clients, and which has been spun as him refocusing more on his CEO role at Hybe America. And thus it makes sense that one of the clients he still manages is Jungkook of BTS. And he's put in a lot of legwork to give Jungkook's solo career a lot of traction with cuts like 7 with Lotto, and now with this, because hey, Jack Harlow dropped an album this year that sparked conversation for about a week before dropping off the face of the earth.
Yep.
And now he can use another actual hit away from all that. And you know what's
Yeah.
kind of ironic is on that same week as NSYNC comes back and tries to sound like BTS, Jungkook has a song that feels like vintage NSYNC. From the tighter vocal delivery, to the punchier bass groove, to the fluttery electric simmer behind the post-chorus, to the minor key flourishes in the vocal line on the hook. Hell, there's definitely something Timberlake-esque in Jungkook's attitude on this song. He sells it considerably better than damn near anything else, to the point where Jack Harlow's laid-back charisma can't match it, and all the flaws in his wordplay rush to the forefront. When I seen that body, you would think it was a dead body. Calling Asian girls ABGs as in
That verse
Asian
is
baby
so
girls, the
bad,
Karen
bro.
gimmick
Oh
on his
my
verse, the
God.
desperate feeling outro. I mean, I know Jack Harlow was never as cool in reality as his attitude was trying to conceal, but it becomes flagrantly obvious just how desperate he is to recapture some attention, and it's not good here at all. Kind of a shame
terrible.
because I actually really like the rest of the song. Get me the remix that's already been remixed without Jack Harlow on it. You got a great pop track, and hell, I'd like to see it succeed.
Honestly,
That
true,
is our
true,
week.
true, true,
And,
true.
Yeah, easy pick for me, but Water by Tyla is running away with the top spot. And I'm giving a tie for honorable mention, with 3D by Jungkook and Jack Harlow, and Stick Season by Noah Khan, in that both
Fair.
songs are close to being something special, but they're being held back by some rather obvious flaws. Now, the worst of the week is much easier, with God Gave Me a Girl by Russell Dickerson.
Obviously.
This honorable mention, you know, I was real tempted to give it to NSYNC, but Stars Like Confetti by Dustin Lynch is so badly mixed, it kind of overrides any of my opinions here. And next week,
Drake!
yeah, it's Drake again.
Drake!
I'd say to stay tuned. You all know it's not that worth it, so I just hope maybe you swing back around. Till then, I'm Mark. You're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse. I'll see you next time.
Drake! Alright, guys. Like the video, or I'll kill you.